Hello and welcome to #Tarot Songs. This is a YouTube channel for teaching the tarot through readings, through interviews, through music, and through guided meditations. My name is Danny Guthrie, and today I'm going to be doing a reading for our Scorpio season of 2025. If you'd like to find out more about my offerings, you can go to entropyhealing.com. That's ENTROPY healing.com. And you can work with me. I have online classes coming soon. I have Zoom tarot readings and a newsletter that has the energetics and a lot of helpful healing resources for you for every zodiac season. So please subscribe if you are enjoying this channel so that I can help the message get out, and let's just get to it. So welcome. I have our death candle here burning for honor of Scorpio season. And Scorpio season starts today, Thursday, October 23rd. And as we enter this season, I just want to say there's a strong connection in feeling in the end of 2025, which is the year of the Hermit, right? 2 + 0 + 2 + 5 is number 9. And in the year of the Hermit, this whole year, it has been an undercurrent of calling us inward, and to look at the places within, healing within, in places where otherwise we might be looking outward for answers. And it has been a year of, thinking about the Hermit, going into our cave and really looking in all the dark places, all the shadows, the places that have been separated. In shamanism, there's something called soul loss. So parts of ourselves that we may have lost throughout our life in trauma, in relationships, maybe, places that we're afraid to access, or gifts or talents also that we have learned through our struggles that are ready to be added to our wholeness and to become a part of the whole. And so there's been this Hermit year, and the whole intention with the Hermit is once you go within, you create a sense of wholeness, so that when you leave the cave and you join community in a new way, when you step into leadership, you step into visibility and being seen. You are no longer the Hermit. People are seeing you in your fullest capacity, your fullest joy, your fullest empowerment, your wholeness. And so that is kind of the intention of the Hermit. And as we are moving through this end of the year, if you are feeling like you are kind of getting squeezed, this is like kind of going through the birth canal of any of the Hermit themes that you have not been aware of, or that are kind of bubbling up to the surface. Scorpio season is water. I think of it as this ocean. It is this undercurrent. It is the deep sea that brings things up from the bottom and brings it onto the beach. And it's like, here you go, here's all the shit, And so anything that you have not been aware of that has been at the bottom of the sea it's kind of coming to our attention when you combine it with that Hermit energy, because as the year comes to a close, that energy is getting like more focused and stronger. It is like going through the birth canal, because we're about to expand into 2026 into the wheel, which is in our spread today. So that being said, the questions that I ask that you can ask yourself at home, I would love to hear in the comments what you pull for yourself. Our spread today is, what is our anchor card for Scorpio? What is going to help us through this season? And this is the Queen of Pentacles. I'm using the Light Seers Tarot deck by Chris Ann. So this is our anchor card for kind of the overall theme of what we can lean into, Queen of Pentacles. I asked, what is dying? So Scorpio, there is this theme of death and rebirth and transformation. So what is dying? We have the King of Wands, but he's in reverse. Okay, so this is what is dying. What is being birthed? We have the Queen of Swords. Okay, and what are our blind spots? Like in Scorpio, it will often bring up things from our sub. It is the unconscious, right? It is things we are unaware of. So what are some of those blind spots? How can we work through making the unconscious conscious? And that is the wheel. And Also, I want to say this 2026 is the year of the wheel, because 2 + 0 + 2 + 6 is number 10, and that is the wheel. So it's not a surprise that our next steps, we are stepping into some of these themes. I've talked about this in my newsletter about this energy that we're moving into through Scorpio season is kind of a precursor and a preview for how 2026 will feel and move. Okay, and what is I'm sorry, that is our next step. This is our next step. Yeah, okay. Not our blind spot. Our blind spot is Temperance. Okay, Temperance is number 14 and it's in reverse. Okay, so this is our blind spot, is Temperance. Our next steps is the wheel. Okay, what is kind of our undercurrent? Like if Scorpio had this undercurrent, you know, I think about Finding Nemo where the fishes get caught. That undercurrent that's moving us along is the 6 of Cups, also in reverse. Okay, this is our undercurrent. And what is our guiding light? You know, where are we kind of headed with this embodiment of Queen of Pentacles? Why are we doing that? Where are we headed? Where does our guiding light, you know, when you kind of feel like Scorpio might be bringing some of the darkness into your life, what is that light that you can lean into? And that light that you can lean into is justice. This is number 11. So I talked about this in the last reading, but when I teach tarot, I say that the first way that you can look at the cards, it's like, could be overwhelming if you're not used to reading tarot. You look at all these cards, where do I even start? So in any reading, the first thing to start is, if you have a spread, is to look at what initially stands out to you. What is like, what stands out, what pops? And my initial observation when I look at these cards is we have 2 queens, right? And we also have a king energy. And that is definitely, you know, that's energy of stepping into more of this leadership. It's like the hermit as it's coming out of the cave. So being aware of that, and how we're being seen in community, and how we are showing up in community, how other people are kind of seeing us. It's like we are being visible. Okay. So there is this, there is that with this Scorpio. Also what I notice is we have 1, 2, 3 major arcana cards, our blind spots, our next steps, and our guiding light, right? We have Temperance for our blind spot. Our next steps is the wheel, and then our guiding light is justice. And what is our undercurrent? You know, this is a number of, 6 is a number of expansion. So I'm seeing that we're kind of moving and expanding into this way of kind of showing up and being seen in new ways through some of the shadows that are coming up. So if that is where we're expanding to, what would we be contracting through? What is Scorpio going to be bringing to our attention? You know, it's going to squeeze us in the place where we realize where we're not being seen, where we're not showing up, where we're not, being part of that, showing up in an external way that feels like it's in alignment with us. So that being said, our anchor card, the Queen of Pentacles, this is a card of really being, our anchor card is when you find yourself, so I talked about Scorpio being like the ocean, and when you find yourself, you know, some of these situations we're gonna be brought it to our attention are things that are gonna be like maybe overwhelming. I feel a sense of some emotional turmoil. The image that came through was like sitting on the beach, you know, and you're wanting to like jump into the waves, but you just keep getting pummeled. You know, there's gonna be things that sometimes kind of feel like that. And Queen of Pentacles, you know, says what are you gonna do to kind of, you know, to kind of lick your wounds and to kind of recognize the places where, if you know that you're going to get pummeled and you have learned that, what do you know that because of you have experienced that in the past, you know that tomorrow how you will feel if you allow yourself to be in this place again where you feel like you're going to get pummeled by something. So she would just choose, nope, not going there. And there is, with this Queen of Energy, and Queen and the King flipping. So with the King, you know, the King kind of leadership and shows up, you know, this is what's dying is the places where we think we kind of have to do an action. We have to be proactive. We have to speak out. We have to, you know, be, what's the word? Not putting on a show, but like we are, being out there and speaking and doing things. And we have to kind of like make sure that we're setting up things to go in the way that we would like things to go. But the Queen, in the opposite of that is, the King might lead through doing, the Queens, we lead through being. So there is this message of places, again, with this Scorpio, what is the shadow of that? Places where you're not being what you actually, how you want to be, how you want people to see you. You're not actually aligning yourself with being that vibration. So the Queen of Pentacles, there's this, sometimes your power, because she's powerful. She is powerful by being. She radiates her essence, and she radiates it and is that, and because it's like an attracting energy, like you're going to start attracting by being that thing that you want. And she doesn't have to do. There is like when she walks into the room, there's just this quiet, she's there, So there is that. And this is, grounding into our pentacles is our body. What are you going to do this season to make sure that I hear this, your home environment, the environment that is around you, the Queen of Pentacles, she will be luxurious in, if it's one thing that you're treating to yourself to, if it's a really nice hand cream, or if it's like a really nice candle, something like that you are treating yourself in your environment, some piece of clothing that just feels like, velvet and, whatever it is, you take what you have, you don't have to buy it. And you're creating this environment of being like goddess, and so there is that. That's kind of what we're grounding into, is when you feel like you might be getting swept away by some of the shadows, that's remembering that. And I feel called to say, what is a shadow? I'm working through this shadow work series about abundance here, around shadows around abundance and around money wounds. And so, what is a shadow? Carl Jung coined the term, and it's really, a shadow is it's the parts of ourselves that we repress or reject, or we don't acknowledge about ourselves, because they're often not we believe that they're not accepted by others or by society. It's like what's that word? It's not accepted by society. I can't think of it right now. So it's those parts of us, but what they do, our shadows actually, it's kind of in our unconscious. It's parts of us that we may be unconscious of that are actually motivating our behaviors. They are motivating our patterns. They're motivating our thoughts about ourselves, our beliefs. And some of these shadows can come, from parts of ourselves that we reject at a young age often, or through trauma, or something where maybe at the time we couldn't deal with it, and the way we had to adapt was to repress and put that part away. Maybe we felt we were being judged or criticized, or maybe, we had to take care of our family and we couldn't deal with this grief. And there is this shadow of something that is actually, the more you ignore a shadow, something an energy through your life experience, it takes more energy to ignore something and to push it away and to repress it than it actually does to simply receive. And that is a message here too. We're learning the places where we have trouble receiving. Queens receive, and because they give lovingly, but they also know how to receive. And so there is this higher flow of abundance coming through. So there is that. I just want to speak to what like a shadow is, because Scorpio, it is kind of like also the mystery and the magic of life. I don't want to talk about like it's all bad, but because the Scorpio, it's not like, it likes to push to the edges of life and the extremes and figure out the deeper meaning of things, the deeper insights. It doesn't like little small talk and, oh, where did you go to school, where did you get those clothes? That's just like so surface level. Scorpio's like, no, we're going to get down to the actual important things, which is why I love that in my store. Sometimes I know more about strangers than I do about people in my own family. So anyways, side note. So what we are, what is dying is, that King of Wands. The King of Wands makes his own way, And the King of Wands he's not going to get ruffled by his emotions. He'll use that as like, oh, that's interesting. That was really upsetting. Okay, I won't go in that direction again. Now I'm going over here. It's like the emotions are there. And with this being in reverse, it can be also like kind of be aware of those places where maybe we've diverted our path because it's like in spite, because we don't want to be like someone, we don't want to do what our parents did. So we're going to go this way. And doing something in spite of someone, it might not be in your highest and best, so be aware of that. And also the King of Wands with our death, what is dying, also is the places where you're comparing yourself to people. Where are you thinking, oh, if I want to be, a doctor, or if I want to be whatever it may be, an artist, I have to go to art school, I have to take this class, I have to do this thing. And this person over here, they wrote this book and they're showing me this path, so I'm going to follow that. And, but what about this person over here who kind of has already done what I want to do and they're doing it this way, like where we kind of question, and we're comparing all the time. And the King of Wands is saying, a leader, you step into being by taking your own path. You can't be radiating in your essence if you are trying to do it the way someone else says. So you can take advice, but it's like that saying, every advice or opinions can be like an asshole. Everybody's got one, but it doesn't mean you need to listen to it. So everybody's got one. Who are you going to listen to? Okay, so questioning, who are you listening to? What is being birthed? Queen of Swords. Like I said, she, another queen, this is what's being birthed is a higher amount of clarity and communication. This is our throat chakra. She can speak clearly to others outwardly because she has done so much work within. You can see this cup, it's kind of locked up in a cage. The places where maybe we kind of speak out, like if we have a way of communicating that kind of hits people in their spots, almost like I think about like a scorpion, like stinging venom. I'm going to hit them because I feel like I'm being judged, so I'm going to hit them right back with judgment. She doesn't feel the need to do that. If she's right, she doesn't need anybody to know that she knows that she's right. She's like, you can be wrong, that's fine, but this is my truth, so take it or leave it. There's no worrying about how other people are going to necessarily receive it, because if you are not being true to yourself, like our throat chakra, what's being birthed is we are speaking our truth, our authenticity from our heart space, because we've had these heartaches. When Scorpio comes through and is showing us some of these heartaches that we've had that have kind of blocked us from in our relationships, that have blocked us in the workplace, places where we have kind of like been hurt or damaged, and we're like, I'm not going to go there again, so it's because she's been to those difficult places that's where her power comes from. So just know that anything that's coming up, what you can lean into, what's being birthed is that ability to kind of have clarity because of those emotions. They're not so tied to you, sometimes when something's so close, it's like you can't even speak it. I had that trouble growing up. I had to write it, I had to play it in my saxophone because I couldn't say it was coming from my heart, so there's that. And our next steps, we have the wheel. And the wheel is, like I said, coming up. This is, our next steps is recognizing like kind of where some of our shadows around control, when things are uncertain, when we don't know our next steps, when other people get in the way. Like I did yesterday I was talking about like when you are late for work or whatever, and it's like it's always a red light, someone's stopping and talking to you, you got to get gas. Like there's these things that get in the way, and the wheel says, can you still just roll with the punches and not let these little blocks that come up take you off of your course and just unravel you, because that is our blind spot. The temperance in reverse is like recognizing, it's tempering our emotions, it's tempering water and fire, and it's tempering some of those places where our emotions, we lead with our emotions, and because we feel a certain way about something, that is our truth. And just because we feel it doesn't mean it's true. So the temperance is saying, can you kind of let emotional things wash through when you're upset, you're frustrated, you wish things had gone a different way, can you allow that to wash through? And I have a previous reading, if you look on temperance, when I was on the beach, you'll see them. So there is this message about temperance coming through that is our blind spot. And the wheel is saying our next steps is, you're gonna, sometimes the wheel is gonna be moving along, and regardless of what you do about it, you can't really change things. So those of us who have control issues, I do feel a lot in the sacrum. The Scorpio is so watery. What else is water? Our third eye is very watery. There's this like ebbing and flowing, and a watery, and if you are rigid and say, this is the way it has to be done, if I don't get my way, it's going to cause stress and inflammation and all these things in your body, because our sacrum is at like the base of our spine. Be aware of your lower back, your hips, and some of your like fertility, like it is our place of creating something from nothing. Okay, that is our sacrum. And so the wheel, is saying, don't ride on the outside of the wheel, so also some of our shadows around self-sabotage, that's coming up too. Where do we self-sabotage like ourselves so that our actions maybe are not really in alignment with what we're saying that we want, or maybe we make things harder than they need to be. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. My husband tells me that all the time. Like when I'm writing my newsletter or a blog or something, I can read the same paragraph 5 times and keep rewording it till it gets exactly how I want. But is that going to be the best use of my time if I kind of just get it all out first? Don't worry about the editing, then you can go back. And if the product that you put out is going to be the same, but the process, you can make things harder than they need to be. That's an example. So think about how that might apply to you in your life. If it comes to even how you're structuring, your day with picking up the kids, or like doing, grocery shopping, or whatever it may be, the way you think things have to go a certain way, we're being challenged a lot. I'm going to talk more about this for 2026. And our undercurrent, we have the 6 of Cups in reverse. So this is a card of, I think of nostalgia. You can see the little boy with the dog. And it's a card of our story, and not just our story, but like our emotions of the story. So I think it's interesting, when if you look at old pictures, here's a perfect example of 6 of Cups, and you look at old pictures and you see maybe a picture where you are smiling and there's people around and it's a sunny day, and it just, a photo picture perfect moment. But when you look at that card, that picture, what you remember is, my dog died the day before, or I had a really big fight with my friend the day before, and now we're not friends anymore. And that picture just always reminds me of that event. So this is 6 of Cups. This is the undercurrent. And there might be some places where, like, to shift our perspective moving forward, and it's to kind of shifting how we're seeing ourselves. Is a big thing. These milestones or things that have happened in our life, looking at them and saying, sure, maybe that happened, but if I didn't have this picture, I wouldn't have realized actually that was a really beautiful day. And so there's this rewiring of how we're looking at ourselves from our story and the emotions we're tying to things being bad or good. That is our guiding light. Justice, it's like our brain wants to label things as bad or good. This happened, and then this happened. It's like this critical mind. And so we are kind of shifting. The Justice is saying, our guiding light, as you come up through some of these scenarios that are going to challenge you in this Scorpio season, your challenges that come up throughout your day to day, if it's emotional, if it's in your relationships, are you going to be able to respond in a way that's different than you reacted in the past? Right? When we react to something, it is our instant It is our unconscious. We're unconsciously, it's our autopilot, right? We'll react to someone in a certain way. If it's seeing something on the TV, hearing something in the news, whatever it may be, we have a reaction, that are in our root chakra, which is developed, in the womb up through about age 7, and that's really like the foundation of our fight or flight, what sends us into that mode. And for some of us, we're going to look at some of these shadows, like we might find ourselves in some of this fight or flight mode. If our blood pressure, we're kind of stressed, we're like in our head, those places are important to recognize, to get deeper at the root of why. Where does that come from? And kind of rewiring. The last thing I want to talk about with that rewiring is I might have mentioned this before, but I just see this image of this canyon, like the Grand Canyon or something. And when it's really dry in these rocky canyons, it's been carved out over the years, like hundreds and thousands of years, these carved, skinny pathways, because when the rain comes, it will, go through the same pathways. And most of our thoughts are like that, where we think the same thing that we did yesterday. It's like 90% or something like that. It's such a high number. Most of us, our thoughts are not any different than the day before. And so Justice is saying, you kind of know some of these places and thoughts that have carved this deep mountain. You're aware of it. Can you be strong enough and brave enough to allow the water to flow in a different direction and start to carve new pathways? New pathways of flow. Flow has been coming up so much. There is a little water with this temperance. Temperance. Think about that. That's our blind spots, where we're just allowing the water to continue to flow where it's always been. And so we're being asked to flow in new directions now. Happy Scorpio season. That was a fun reading. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment in the comments, and reach out to me if you have any questions or would like to work with me. Bye.